The time by Sagicor is
7 p.m.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart NSDA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Coming up in CVM News at 7, seek help. Police admonition this evening after suspected murder-suicide in Harborview, St. Andrew. Resurgence. Police see uptick in drug trafficking among ordinary Jamaicans. And later, when faith meets fashion, a special report on dress trends and the church. In business news, NCBJ named Best Foreign Exchange Bank for 2026. And in sports, West Indies staring at series sweep following loss in second T20 against Afghanistan.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart NSDA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday, courtesy of
Sagicor, building trust for generations.
Celebrating 55 years.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Wednesday, January 21, 2026. I'm Nika Lewis. Thank you for joining us. Up first, seek professional help. The message from the JCF this evening following a suspected murder-suicide involving a husband and wife in Harborview, St. Andrew. Their bodies were discovered unresponsive at their home Tuesday morning. Javoni Hamilton has the details.
It was a sad morning on Tuesday for residents of Harborview. Around 10:30, neighbors of the couple sought police assistance after calls to them went unanswered. Upon arriving at the residence on Dorado Drive in Harborview, police found both individuals lying motionless. They were rushed to hospital where they were pronounced dead. The deceased have been identified as 49-year-old Pete Palmer and 53-year-old Marvin Thompson Palmer. In the wake of the tragedy, Senior Superintendent Delia Garrick is appealing to people experiencing domestic challenges to seek help through established support systems.
As the police continue our investigation into the death of 53-year-old Marvin Thompson Palmer, a paralegal, and her husband, Pete Palmer, a mason, both of Dorado Drive in Harborview, Kingston, we are appealing to persons who are experiencing domestic issues to use the support systems available. Use our domestic violence intervention centers to get the help.
SSP Garrick is also urging individuals who have already begun receiving assistance to heed the advice of trained professionals.
For those who have started the process to get support, to follow the advice of the experts. You know, we often have family members and other support systems who are there to help us through. Take their advice. Don't try to resolve these matters through violence.
She further stresses that early intervention can prevent disputes from escalating or worse, resulting in death.
We are appealing to members of the public to continue to provide support. and also to alert the police around incidents of these natures before they become violent.
A Westmoreland woman is hospitalized in serious condition following a brutal domestic dispute in the Chantilly Gardens area of Savlamar. Police say the incident happened around 4:40 Friday morning when a heated argument between the woman and a 25-year-old farmer got physical. The accused, identified as Jason Chambers, also of Chantilly Gardens, is alleged to have beaten the woman, attempted to strangle her, and later returned to the scene armed with a machete, inflicting multiple chop wounds to her body. The wounded woman was rushed to hospital for treatment. Chambers fled the scene but was taken into police custody during an operation in the community on Saturday. He has since been charged with wounding with intent and assault occasioning actual bodily harm. He is scheduled to appear before the Savlamar Parish Court on Friday. The defense attorney for the high-profile matter between Noel Maitland on a murder trial is urging jurors to return what he describes as a fearless and evidence-based verdict. On Tuesday, attorney Christopher Townsend challenged the prosecution's case, arguing that it rests entirely on circumstantial evidence. Akeem Orit was in court.
Defense attorney Christopher Townsend is urging jurors to be fearless in returning a verdict in the high-profile Noel Maitland trial, arguing that the prosecution's case is built entirely on circumstantial evidence that, quote, does not fit. Addressing the jury in the Supreme Court on Tuesday, Townsend urged the 7 members to carefully examine every piece of evidence presented. He argued his point using a vivid analogy, comparing the case to a mongoose locked in a coop with chickens. According to Townsend, if the coop is secured, no breach is found, but if the chickens are gone, the only logical conclusion would be that the mongoose is responsible. The defense emphasized that more than 30 pieces of evidence were submitted during the trial, but argued that critical gaps and inconsistencies remain. Addressing bloodstains found on a couch, Townsend suggested they could be explained by a miscarriage, arguing that this occurred during sexual activity. The senior lawyer also noted that luminal testing used to detect hidden or cleaned blood showed no blood on the floor. In closing, Townsend urged jurors to be fearless in their decision and to consider all the evidence, both from the prosecution and the defense. On Monday, Director of Public Prosecutions Claudette Thompson likened the trial to a jigsaw puzzle with all the pieces pointing to Maitland. Meanwhile, trial judge Justice Leighton Pusey, in his summation, reminded jurors that they must not speculate but instead rely solely on the evidence to determine whether Maitland is guilty or not. The trial continues Thursday in the Supreme Court.
There are growing fears tonight that more Jamaicans are being pulled into drug trafficking, acting as couriers for criminal networks. Director of the Firearms and Narcotics Investigation Division, FNID, Senior Superintendent Petray Rowe, says the trend is deeply troubling as financial pressures are driving people to risk their lives for fast cash. Amoy Harriet has the details.
Days into the new year, and already the Firearms and Narcotics Investigation Division, FNID, has seized more than $15 million worth of cocaine. Much of the seizures are from what investigators describe as, quote, innocent Jamaicans. And history shows this trend is far from unusual. According to the Global Organized Crime Index, Jamaica continues to serve as a key transit point for cocaine, facilitating its movement from South and Central America to North America and Europe. Recent seizures point to the country's growing role in the international cocaine trade, where criminal organizations, oftentimes from Colombia and Mexico, use Jamaican routes by employing drug mules.
So we are seeing where drug traffickers are targeting persons based on their need for financial support or otherwise. And some people are just using this as an hustle. I mean, thinking that they can get away with it. But, I mean, we are proving otherwise.
Even more alarming, Director of FNID, Senior Superintendent Petray Rowe says many drug mules are ingesting the substance.
We are seeing the ingestion of drugs becoming I mean, I know once it was a prominent activity in terms of drug news and so on. I mean, we are seeing this re-emerging as something that we are concerned about, and we really want to discourage it. We will, as a part of our demand reduction lectures and talks, say to our Jamaican people that do not fall victim, because you can be killed by ingesting or participating in this activity.
He's appealing to Jamaicans to resist the illegal activity despite financial pressures that may tempt some to take the risk.
We have innocent people who have financial needs, who may be lured to engage in drug trafficking. We ask you that, for your own health and safety, ingesting cocaine is detrimental to your health. And in the case of transporting or participating in the trafficking of drugs, you will be caught by FNIB.
Now, SSP Rowe's comments come after 2 senior municipal corporation officials were charged earlier this week after being caught at the Sangster International Airport trying to smuggle cocaine out of the island. Amoy Harriet for CVM News.
When faith meets fashion, the age-old debate over church attire is back in the spotlight tonight, raising questions about the expectations placed on church leaders and their families. The discussion follows a recent flare-up online when a church first lady in Atlanta came under fire for her outfit. Amoy Harriet has more.
The dress that set off the firestorm. The woman at the center of the controversy is Dr. Carrie Turner Bryant, First Lady of the New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Atlanta. Seen here beside her, her husband, Pastor Jamal Bryant. The outfit ignited fierce online debate, with many users blasting the attire as distasteful and inappropriate for a First Lady. Now, days after the backlash exploded, Pastor Bryant took to the pulpit to defend his wife.
I need to set the record straight. I bought the dress. And I like it. I don't care whether you like it or not. She ain't mad to y'all. She mad to me.
It's probably worth a case study how much of a preoccupation Christians have with clothes.
Now, the uproar has ignited a familiar debate in Jamaica: how closely churchgoers are watched for what they wear and the expectations placed on church leaders and their families. Across denominations, dressing up for service remains a mark of respect and reverence. For many Jamaicans, worship still calls for modest, formal clothing. Senior Associate Pastor of Go For God Family Church, Charlene Reed, says that's exactly how it should be.
I understand that it wasn't really a church event. However, I believe that our representation in every environment as leaders of the church is significant to who we are to the public. We represent the Most High God, and it is a really significant role and position, and so it has responsibility.
Very conservative take again. Historically, black women's bodies are always being policed, and the church is again one of the main ground where that policing takes place.
Dr. Lisa Tomlinson is a cultural expert and head of the Department of Literatures in English at the University of the West Indies, Mona. She insists women shouldn't have to choose between self-expression and faith.
Unfortunately, women, especially when they're in high leadership position, when they're associated with figures of authority, male figures of authority, there's a restraint that is put on them, and that restraint is generally always that over policing of women's bodies. So they're restrained they embody this restraint, and a part of that restraint is that sexual invisibility. So they can't be sexually, they can't be attractive. So moving forward, there needs to be more attention instead of using women as a moral code. There needs to be more attention on what church represents: the faith, justice, community upliftment.
But Pastor Reed says culture and the kingdom can coexist.
So there's culture, and especially Jamaican culture, right? We're very expressive, we're very vibrant, very colorful, very loud in who we are. And you don't want to necessarily quiet that. But again, I think there is a level of accountability that must be upon the leaders of the church. And so policing, but I do feel there is a standard that we should have that reflects even within the expression of our culture. Culture and kingdom can have some form of clash, or it feels like we're clashing, but it doesn't have to feel that way.
Amoy Harriet for CVM News.
Our news package continues in a moment.
Education is the greatest equalizer. It sets everybody on the same footing if you get that opportunity. So what happens when a child is not in school? It sets them back. So guess what? We have to raise over $150 million through the Sigma Run to make sure that we rebuild damaged schools in the West so our kids can get back to school, to learn, socialize, and to become their best selves.
Employers, once a month, you have the power to shape Jamaica's future. By paying your hard 3% contribution, you're not just contributing, you're investing in people, in skills, in our economy. Your hard contribution trains working-age Jamaicans, aligns programs with workforce needs, and secures our future. That's not just contribution, it's transformation. Contribute to heart and to your future.
Chicken, mega deal, super chicken, mega deal.
The KFC value menu has you thinking chicken. Get the chicken box combo for just $680. KFC.
This season is the time. Digital is gifting smile. Gift a smile, gift a smile, gift a smile. Digicel is gifting smiles this season. 64 lucky customers will win $250,000 cash, and the third two getting $50,000 in groceries. You can also win Samsung tablets, furniture vouchers, and so much more. Gift this pack, you can keep your prize, or re-gift all our partners to someone who really needs a smile. This season isn't just about winning, it's about making sure everybody good. Cash Digital in your community, bringing gifts and good cheer to keep you smiling into the new year.
Thanks so much for staying with us. Still in the local news, Parliament on Tuesday debated and approved amendments to the Financial Administration and Audit Act, the FAA, that strengthens the newly created National Natural Disaster Reserve Fund. The amendment seeks to remove the previously discussed $10 billion cap on withdrawals, a change proposed as part of efforts to bolster Jamaica's disaster finance framework.
Finance Minister Favour Williams piloted the amendment to the FAA Act in the lower house, citing Jamaica's recent fate at the hand of Category 5 Hurricane Melissa, which warranted the government's withdrawal of well in excess of $10 billion from the National Natural Disaster Reserve Fund, NNDRF.
Mr. Speaker, currently Section 13A1 of the FAA Act provides that the NNDRF shall consist of issues from the Consolidated Fund Principal Bank Account, from the triggering of natural disaster instruments, and from other indicated sources of flows, such that the maximum amount of the NNDRF shall be $10 billion.
Considering the excess needed to tackle relief and recovery, she argued for the removal of the cap for dire cases such as these.
The Memorandum of Objects and Reasons explains the purpose of the bill and provides an overview of the necessity and scope of the bill. The Memorandum of Objects and Reasons speaks to the fiscal response required to remove the cap of $10 billion on the amount that can be paid into the NNDRF, and to remove the mandated requirement of annual issues from the Consolidated Fund once the NNDRF reaches the amount of $10 billion.
On the opposition side, while they agreed much more than $10 billion will be needed to address the country's post-disaster efforts, they argued for transparency and clarity around the withdrawal limit.
Do the proceeds from the insurance payouts, whether they be the cat bond or the ones from CRIF, do those proceeds get paid into this particular fund? That's my first question. If that's so, then it's absolutely understandable why the 10 billion figure would be woefully low. And is there, in your contemplation of removing the cap, are you thinking of a higher figure, or you're just going to have no ceiling in terms of what that figure could be?
Speaking for myself, I think we should just delete the words in the bill that come after the word annually in paragraph A and continue to contribute $400 million a year to this fund on an ongoing basis, regardless of where the amount is. Because 10 billion, as we've seen, is totally inadequate to address the likely consequences of any serious national disaster. So that's my suggestion there.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness also shared that much effort was put into ensuring the country maintains fiscal balance while building out other instruments on which the country can pull in times of disaster to ensure too much reliance is not had on the consolidated fund. And after much debate, the bill passed the committee stage without amendments. It moves now to the Senate for final approval.
The opposition is arguing that if the prosecution can apply for a judge-alone trial, then the defense should be allowed similar privileges. This as the Parliament considered the amendment to the Jury Act under fresh lenses to include the threat of jury tampering and trial delays.
The verdict is still out on retrial and judge-alone trials in the event of jury tampering in local matters. For now, the government is making an attempt at allowing balanced reforms to preserve the role of the jury while further empowering the courts in respect of the law. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck on Tuesday made the case for amendments to the Jury Act of 2026, citing challenges to effecting justice to include trial delays and potential jury tampering. The Justice Minister also outlined plans to increase the stipend paid to jurors.
Raising the amount paid to jurors, and secondly, provide where there's a possibility or actual tampering of a jury, that there could be a retrial or the discharge of the jury and the judge alone.
He urged the Parliament to also consider.
Mr. Speaker, the use of trial by jury remains a cornerstone of our justice system. However, the system must also be responsive and capable of addressing contemporary challenges, particularly those relating to delays, inefficiencies, and threats to the integrity of jury trials. This bill, therefore, Mr. Speaker, introduces carefully balanced reforms which preserve the central role of the jury, while providing the courts with necessary tools to ensure that justice is done.
And while there was support from some on the government benches, the opposition had questions and concerns about the process being undertaken to effect the proposed changes, some of which were met with fierce resistance.
Because I note that the section provides for the prosecution to make an application for the trial to proceed without a jury. But the questions which emerge in my mind are as follows. Why not allow for the defense to have an opportunity to make that application if it so desires? Why not allow for the judge on its own volition to make that particular determination if it so desires? Why does the section seek to limit this opportunity to make an application to only the prosecution and prosecution alone?
But in the seminal case, there was no evidence of jury tampering, which would have given rise to, as you said, the purpose of this legislation. So what happens where, what we're setting up, as my friend would have said, is that we're creating situations where we can avoid or create scenarios where we remove the jury when it is a protection that the defendant who is most affected in relation to this process is not going to have the jury because a judge may say, I am satisfied that certain circumstances exist.
The debate raged on up to news time, and plans are afoot, if passed, to further discuss aspects of the changes with the public having a say.
Meanwhile, members of the legal fraternity are pushing the government to address deeper issues as it reviews the jury amendment bill. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck's announcement in Parliament on Tuesday promised, among other things, to raise the juror stipend from $2,000 to $6,000. But attorneys on CVM's lead story Prime say a pay hike alone won't solve the crisis.
In 2022, the Supreme Court issued about 4,500 jury summons. The number of jurors that turned up out of that number, 127. The same trend appears in the parish courts. In St. James, for example, 1,500 summons were sent out during 2022. Just 28 jurors turned up. Stakeholders say fixing this issue, which has been a sore point for years, will require system-wide reforms.
I believe that we need to go back to teaching civics in the primary schools, where it is that when you're called upon to play your part, to act as a juror, you don't think it's a punishment, you don't think it's a burden, but it is something that you're willing to do. Because I've always said, even when I'm opening or closing before the jury, we talk about we want justice, and the wheels of justice can't turn if you don't participate.
Notwithstanding, the justice system continues to struggle to get jurors for reasons to include lost income or inadequate compensation. It's one of the issues Justice Minister Delroy Chuck is seeking to address after announcing an increase in the stipend for jurors from $2,000 to $6,000. But attorneys warn money alone won't solve the problem.
Well, it alone will not, cure the damage, but it will certainly help. And I think the call now is for public education and at least help people to understand their civic duty.
So apart from the increases in money, and the minister did mention, it's not just persons who are serving, but even persons who are just called, because you can be called and not empaneled to serve, but also the security, because it means sometimes, based on the voluminous nature of the evidence, you may have to stay late hours in the night, put them up. So you may have to put in those safeguards of having maybe a hotel or a motel that persons can stay, so they won't feel rushed to come to a verdict, and also security.
Additionally, the attorneys who were speaking on CVM's lead story Prime say a robust public education campaign is needed. Also,
in terms of you're talking about improving the jury system, perhaps expanding or taking away certain persons who are now currently exempted so that you have a wider jury pool.
Amoy Harriet, CVM News.
The Prime Minister delivered his 11th keynote on the first of the three-day Regional Investments and Capital Markets Conference, tying the nation's economic outlook to improved public safety and a declining murder rate. The Prime Minister attempted to renew investor confidence by positioning the nation as a model for regional growth. More from Crystal Williams.
According to Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, Jamaica has not only weathered the storm, but is moving forward rapidly. He recalls visions of border last week, where economic life is being returned to small businesses and investments.
Stores reopen, trade resume, the daily rhythm of economic life returning. These are concrete indicators that confidence has returned, and that confidence matters not only to households and small businesses, but to investors, lenders, and capital markets assessing the strength and trajectory of the Jamaican economy. Today, Jamaica is not in crisis mode. We're not in emergency stabilization. We are moving forward with purpose.
No discussion on economic confidence and investment would be complete without public safety.
In 2023, we had an 8% reduction. In 2024, we had a 19% reduction. And in 2025, we have had a 42% reduction.
The Prime Minister says this is not a fluke, as Jamaica's resilience is reinforced by design. In fact,
as of today, we are 50% below last year this time.
You can only manage what you measure. This was how the Prime Minister characterized his record keeping of the murder rate as the main indicator of the climate of crime in Jamaica. He reported El Salvador as the only other regional country to achieve this, as he publicly recognizes it is no easy feat. He outlines the next phase of the plan to continue to ensure public safety and economic growth.
Because all of this is by plan, it's not by accident. We established Plan Secure Jamaica, and we backed it with a $90 billion budget, investing in our security forces, and we are now reaping the results. The next phase of the plan is to move the society to peace.
Crystal Williams, CVM News.
Stay with us. There's more to come right after the break.
KFC value menu has you thinking chicken. Get the chicken box combo for just $680. KFC.
The Time by KFC is
deadline slipping, projects veering off track. It's time to take control. Start with expert-led project management training from Project Management Global Institute. Gain the skills to plan, lead, and deliver projects on time and on budget. Turn chaos into clarity and stress into success. Explore opportunities today by contacting 876-754-3764 or www.pmglobalinstitute.com.
Chicken, mega deal, super chicken, mega deal.
The KFC value menu has you thinking chicken. Get the chicken box combo for just $680. KFC.
Do you recognize the signs of dengue? Look out for these symptoms: high fever, severe headaches, joint and muscle pain, skin rash, nausea, and pain behind the eyes. If you experience these symptoms, rest, stay hydrated, and take paracetamol for pain relief. If symptoms persist beyond 3 days or worsen, such as persistent vomiting, severe abdominal pain, or difficulty breathing, seek medical attention immediately. Early treatment can save lives. Know the signs, act fast, together we can beat dengue. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness and PAHO.
This makes no sense, people. Why waste time in the manual lane when you can just breeze through the T-tag lane? Plus, you pay a lower toll rate in the T-tag lane. You can easily get your T-tag from any toll collector. Just have to remember to top up by adding funds on the My T-tag app or by WhatsApp.
Save money and save time. If you don't have a tag, you will waste time. Yeah, your seatbelt buckle and you're driving safe. Use up your T-tag, drive on safe.
Drive like the winner you deserve to be with the T-tag every time.
Thanks so much for staying with us. It's now time for the Business Report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots to share with you in the Business Report today. It's been said that the only constant in life is change. It's an axiom that is currently being witnessed within Jamaica's largest indigenous bank, following the announcement that National Commercial Bank Jamaica Limited's Chief Executive Officer, Bruce Bowen, will in February 2026 be stepping down as part of a planned leadership transition, with additional changes expected at management level. However, prior to the announcement, the Business Report was able to engage with the NCBJ executive about a feat of consistency that saw the entity named as the best FX bank for 2026 by Global Finance.
Tanya Watson-Francis, EVP, Treasury and Capital Management.
The award is NCBJ's 8th consecutive win, reinforcing its leadership in foreign exchange solutions.
It means significant pride for the NCB team, It means that an international organization has recognized the commitment that NCB has to its customers and to Jamaica.
I asked Mrs. Watson-Francis how the NCBJ team guards against complacency, having extended its record of consecutive acclaim.
We have a very strong and committed team in our Treasury, and of course Treasury is a highly technical area of the business. The team prides itself on day-to-day monitoring of the overall markets and being disciplined in ongoing execution. Consistency is key. Our customers have become dependent on us to provide ongoing reliable service and access to foreign currency in the markets in normal and stress conditions.
In 2025, NCBJ saw approximately 8 billion Jamaican dollars in activity and maintained its position as the dominant player in the local FX space.
We represent almost 30% of the market. What sets us apart is that we continue to invest in our people, we invest in our technology, and as well our global banking relationships. Together that allows us to continue to deliver, superior customer service. And of course, we're leveraging the scale of NCB's balance sheet to deliver swift execution for our customers.
Another defining feature of the bank's success, significant and early investment in online offerings.
Our digitization of our trading platforms have allowed our customers a certain amount of transparency, access to real-time pricing, and so therefore they are able to originate their transactions online at any time through our online banking services. So it allowed us to expand the offering to our customers throughout the day without having to interface with them in a branch. So it has broadened our reach to the customers broadly in Jamaica. The online platforms have been received very, very well. We have almost 90% of our customers are actually transacting their FX online.
NCBJ's repeated recognition signals sustained performance in a market that demands precision, liquidity, and strong execution. And as we hear from the Vice President of Treasury and Capital Management, flexibility as well, in describing how the bank has been able to tailor solutions to critical sectors in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa.
Infrastructure. All of our customers that are supporting infrastructure will have some increased demand based on a lot of the activity to rebuild within Jamaica. I think notably as well, the hotels in the West have been impacted, and so therefore there is some reduced supply in terms of foreign currency. We continue to provide or have partnerships with both the energy and telecommunications sector that have significant demand for currency over the years. We have provided tailored solutions for these sectors through forward products and other structured type products to ensure guaranteeing price and as well to ensuring supply that is required at a point in time. So certainty, reliability, and size have been delivered through structured products to these industries.
Though Watson-Francis anticipates a more measured FX market as businesses recover, their priority is clear: to provide strong liquidity and dependable execution so their customers can stay agile in an evolving environment. And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crossgill.
We now turn to regional and international